Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, and this is Shelf Unstable. If this is your first time here, that totally makes sense because this is the first video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys just pretend with me that I've been doing this for like 4 years. We already all know each other, you already know my tastes, and this isn't weird. Today we're going to be tier ranking Brandon Sanderson books. Disclaimer, I have not read any Brandon Sanderson books. I am obviously aware of who Brandon Sanderson is, otherwise this video wouldn't be happening. I know he is a gigantic juggernaut of the publishing industry. He's incredible. He has an amazing work ethic, whole production brand, his super successful Kickstarter, all of that is just really inspiring, and I have nothing but respect for the man himself, and I apologize to him in advance for this. So anyway, let's get right into it. We're gonna rank some Brandon Sanderson books, and here we go. Okay, we're going. All right, bear with me, guys. All right, let's do this. So first of all, I want to give credit to whoever made this template. I'm way too lazy to have created this from scratch. I can't shout them out because their name's not on here. The only thing that I did was change our S tier category to Shard as a Rock, just to right off the bat give you guys an example of how intimately familiar I am with in-universe lingo, cosmere lingo. Is the whole thing the cosmere, or is it just like certain? Just kidding, I totally know. Okay, let's do this. First book we have is The Evil Librarians. I rescind my shout out to the person that made this template because this is obviously not an actual Brandon Sanderson book. This seems like something that some self-published guy made, trying to capitalize on Brandon Sanderson's good name and use that as a name, and it somehow snuck its way onto this list. So F tier for Imposter. Next we have Alcatraz, The Shattered Lens. Fun fact, Brandon wrote this book when he was in 11th grade. So it's really good. It's like a heist novel of a bunch of prisoners, and it's the first time like magic metal kind of entered Brandon Sanderson's brain as a literary device. And I don't really remember the plot a whole lot because I read it when I was pretty young too. But I'm gonna give it a C. It's worse than C, but just for the fact that he was so young when he wrote it, we're gonna give it a little boosty. So, decent entry. All right, so now we've got Words of Radiance. I always get Words of Radiance confused with The Way of Kings because they have the exact same cover. Like, this is the same cover, just in different colors. Words of Radiance, if I remember correctly, is the one with the sharding in your shard plate conversation with Shannon. And I hated that. So even though the story was pretty good, I have to give it a D for sharding in your shard plate. Unfortunately. Not the best Stormlight entry. But next up we have Firefight, which is probably one of my favorite Brandon Sanderson books. This one really subverted my expectations because there's no magic in it. There's no fantasy. It is a straightforward, gritty firefighter, like slice of life drama. And the twist, if you haven't read it, click away. Not only do the firefighters fight fires, they actually fight each other with fire. So that little plot element I thought was really inventive, and I thought this was great, and I never saw it coming from Brandon Sanderson. So we're gonna have our first one in Sando books that make me shard as a rock. Hell yeah. Next we have Brandon Sanderson's book Children. This was an interesting one for his body of work because this is a lot more philosophical. It's not a children's book, contrary to what the title might make you think, but it is talking about, the questions of like, should we even have children? Like, have you seen the world? So it was surprising. It was, a philosophical tour de force, kind of allegorical, and just surprising due to Brandon's, nature as a family man and as a religious man. This was unexpected and really interesting and surprising. So that's going to go easily in A tier. And next up we have Mistborn, the famous Mistborn. So I know there's multiple eras of Mistborn, but the only other Mistborn book that I saw on this list was Mistborn Secret History, which is obviously like a companion, kind of like the Fire and Blood of Mistborn. So I'm going to just guess that this is all Mistborn, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in D tier. And the reasoning for this is I know there's a character named Vin in Mistborn, and that always makes me think of Rin from the Poppy War, and I hated the Poppy War. So for no logical reason whatsoever, Mistborn gets D tier. Next up, we have Shadows of Self. Oh man, I hate to put 3 D tiers so early onto this video, but Shadows of Self, when I read it, it was just clearly Dresden Files fan fiction. I mean, look at that cover. It was like noir, fantasy, urban detective, and it wasn't great. I think he wrote this pretty early on too, so I wish I could give him a pass for it, but it's just way too Dresden-y for my liking, and I don't really like Dresden, so this just did nothing for me. Next up, we have Evil Librarians. I'm guessing Evil Librarians 2, and also this was definitely not written by actual Brandon Sanderson, so it gets an F for being an imposter. Okay, so now we have Mistborn, The Secret History. I know that this is a, like I said, companion novel to the other Mistborn books. It was the companion that nobody needed. It's the add-on that nobody wanted, and the title makes me think of The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I can't reconcile this fantasy novel with that dark academia college cult mystery thriller. So it's gonna get a C. It's gonna get a D. It's not looking good for our boy. Don't worry, there's great stuff to come. Okay, so now we have White Sand 2. When I Googled White Sand 2, actually, when I Googled White Sand 1, I came across it because I had an idea for a fantasy novel that I really wanted to write. And I was looking to see if it had been done before. And when I was doing this research, I came across White Sand 1. For that reason, I have to put it an F. I just have to. He took my idea and he did it way better than I ever could have, and I just can't forgive him for that. It's a great book, but it belongs here. Sorry. Next we have Oathbringer. I constantly get this book confused with the Game of Thrones episode Oathkeeper. But that's an episode I really like. I don't remember anything about it right now. But just because of that, and because I like the cover, it's like giving me like, powerful woman in a palace or a castle. And I feel like it would be really interesting. Maybe themes of like truth and subjective versus objectivity and morality. So I like it. Oathbringer's a solid A. Solid A. I don't know if it's the second or the third book in the Stormlight Archive. It's one of those two. It's not the first one and it's not the last one. And there are 4. I know this because I am a lifelong Brandon Sanderson fan. Man, my hair just keeps getting weirder and weirder the longer this goes on. I swear, I'm one of those people where like it looks good the first 8 seconds and then it's just like the rest of my life. Now we've got Evil Librarians 3. Clearly an imposter. Again, I know Brandon Sanderson, the man himself, did not pick up writing this series. This isn't Wheel of Time. Imposter. F. The Alloy of Law. This was great. It was like a fantasy western. And I'm not a huge fan of westerns, but this just had a little something extra to it. It was like hunting down bandits and magical guns. Like the guns or the muskets were made out of magic metal, and so it was just really exciting. And if I remember correctly, it was a novella. I think it's one of his shorter works at around 700 pages. This was great. I'm gonna put this in A. Alloy of Law was good times. I would cast James Franco as the main character, whose name I definitely know. Next we have The Emperors. Okay, I actually know this is called The Emperor's Soul because I do have several friends who really like this book. So for that fact alone, this is the only one I haven't read on this list. But because I have friends that I really care about and I know that they have good taste and they would never lead me astray, I know this is a book that would make me shard as a rock. So yeah, Emperor's Soul is great. I actually know this one's pretty short too, so I highly recommend this one. Next we have Shadows for Silence. Oh, it's giving me Kingkiller energy with the title. Name of the Wind, Slow Regard of Silent Things, Shadows for Silence, and I hated Kingkiller, so I hate to do it, but this has to go into D tier. Unfortunate. Next we have Brandon Sanderson. So I have to assume that this is his autobiography because there's no other title on here. So, and I really like Brandon's YouTube lectures on creative writing that he does. I really like his like nonfiction, just kind of talking and telling us how he does things. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is Shard as a Rock. This was a fantastic autobiography when he's just writing about himself from the heart. It is just hits you. It's great, fantastic. Next we have Calamity. Oh, we're gonna have our first beat here. Calamity was good. It was a shorter one. It was a group of heroes on a quest to save the world from this like meteor striking the planet. I don't remember what the planet was called, but it wasn't Earth. It was pretty good. It was another, it was kind of, it's whatever. It's throwaway fiction. Your dad would love it. Snapshot. Okay, now we're talking. Snapshot was amazing. This was like a parody of another book on this list. I think I already ranked it. The Dresden one. I can't remember what it's called. I can't even find it. Shadows of Self. Snapshot was like a parody fan fiction of Shadows of Self. And just for the creativity of like writing fan fiction parody of your own work that was bad and then having that fan fiction be amazing, this gets me Shard as a Rock. Like top of Shard as a Rock, actually. Yeah, this was great. This was, and I don't even really like comedy. Like I'm not a big like lighthearted kind of fiction person, but this was just incredible. And now we have the legendary The Way of Kings. I'm actually, on serious note, this is the book I'm most familiar with. I've actually read maybe like the first 4 pages of this, and I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos doing like editing of the first chapter. So I'm actually like 0.4% familiar with the actual book of this. So on an unserious note, I read this cover to cover. It was amazing. I loved it in its entirety, but it was way too long. And the conversations are a little weird, and just because of all the editing that I watched, I just like can see how much better it could have been. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. I like what it's doing for the genre. I like what Brandon Sanderson is doing with Stormlight Archive, so it's gonna go there. Next up we have The Hero of Ages. I don't remember a single thing about this book, but I assume it can't be that bad because it's Brandon Sanderson, so it's gonna get an A. White Sand, this must be White Sand 1. So for the same reasons listed above for White Sand 2, it goes where it belongs. The Hope of Elantris was interesting. This was like a theological nonfiction work that he wrote about his religion. And it was really interesting. It was like a whole new spin and like metaphor for his beliefs. And it was really interesting and it shed a lot of light on things. I'm going to give it a C because I'm not really religious and I don't really do like that, but I gotta give him credit. And then the 11th Metal was like the follow-up to the Hope of Elantris. Like I don't know that much about Mormonism, but I know there's like gold tablets, and maybe that's where some of his like metal magic comes from, like inspired by. And the 11th Metal like really took it a step further. Like I don't want to do any blasphemy on this channel, so I'm gonna like leave it there. But it was good. It was actually better than Hope of Elantris, and I can't wait for the adaptation. Next, we have Well of Ascension. I can't remember what this book's about, but I really like the cover. It's giving me Saturn eating his sun painting vibes, and I really like that, and I really like the title Well of Ascension. Like, I don't know, it's kind of oxymoronic, like a well of ascension. It's cool. It's like, it's cool. It's A tier. So we have more Mistborn. I thought I covered all the Mistborn, like in one Mistborn, but for some reason this had like a different font and cover, so I didn't realize this was Mistborn until just now, which just makes me think, like, why couldn't you just keep them all like the same typeface, which makes me sad because it reminds me that I still don't have like a matching set of Malazan books. That's not what this video is about, but anyway, just for that fact that it's like in a weird typeface. I don't know which era it is. I don't know what's going on here. It's a D. We have Elantris. You know what? I'm kind of like panicking that there's still 10 here and I have to make up more garbage. So instead of finishing this out, look, The Bands of Mourning was a sequel to The Shadows of Self, clearly, because look at how similar the covers are. It was better, but it still wasn't as good as Snapshot, unfortunately. Maybe one day he'll come out with a fan fiction of The Bands of Mourning, and it will go in Shard as a Rock as well. Maybe that's already happened, and I just don't know about it yet. Maybe it's one of those secret project novels. Probably. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm sorry, guys. I have exhausted my Brandon Sanderson knowledge. this is the final list. I'm gonna go ahead and stop that now. And hopefully that was a little bit entertaining for you. Again, Brandon Sanderson, I really apologize for whatever this was. I hope you come back, not you, Brandon Sanderson, I'm not talking to you anymore. I hope you come back for more videos in the future. I do plan on hopefully uploading semi-frequently. Maybe I'll do like a BookTube newbie tag video. It's about time for that since I've been doing this for like 6 years. And I'll show you some of my books, and we'll have actual serious discussions, and we'll also do stupid things, and maybe one day I'll upgrade my camera setup. Maybe one day I'll even wash my hair before a video. Who knows? Because this is shelf unstable where chaos reigns. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time where we do some more stupid bull.